I still remember the first night I realized we weren't alone in that hotel. It was past midnight, the wind outside howling through the broken window frames, and I heard a voice whisper right next to my ear. "We're going to die here." I froze. I didn't breathe. The air felt so thick it was like drowning in silence. When I turned, no one was there. My daughter Emma was asleep across the room, her small chest rising and falling peacefully, but I knew deep down the whisper wasn't a dream, and that was only the beginning. Tell me honestly, if you heard that, would you stay or run? Because what I did next, it changed everything. I'm Sarah, 34, a single mom trying to start over. After my husband left, our life fell apart piece by piece. Bills piled up, the apartment lease expired, and I was desperate to give Emma a home where she could breathe again. Then one afternoon, while scrolling through listings, I saw something that looked like a scam. Historic Ravenwood Hotel for sale, $1. I thought it was a typo. A hotel for $1? I clicked. The description said it was an old abandoned property in a remote town called Ravens Hollow. The seller was the town's council. The catch? The building needed extensive renovation and had a tragic history. I laughed at first, but something about the photo drew me in. The hotel looked sad, lonely even, like it was waiting for someone. I told myself maybe this was fate giving me a chance. I signed the papers a week later. When I first saw it in person, it was like stepping into another century. The Ravenwood stood tall but tired. 3 floors, creaky balconies, vines crawling over cracked walls. The signboard was barely hanging, letters faded. The front doors were swollen from rain, and when I pushed them open, a gust of stale air rushed out like a sigh. Emma clutched my hand and whispered, "It smells like old people." I laughed, pretending not to feel uneasy. The air was cold even though it was June, but it was ours. After everything we'd lost, this broken hotel was finally a place to call home. The first week was just cleaning and fixing. We camped out in one of the smaller rooms because most of the building was unsafe. I tried to keep things light for Emma. We painted the lobby walls, made pancakes on a small stove, and laughed about the ghost guests that might visit. But every night strange things happened. Footsteps above us even though the upstairs was empty, doors creaking open slowly, a faint humming that echoed through the hallways. Once I woke up at 3 a.m. to find all the candles we'd left on the dining table lit by themselves. The next morning I blamed it on drafts and imagination. But Emma told me something that made my blood run cold. "Mommy," she said, "the lady with the sad eyes tucked me in last night." I stared at her. "What lady?" She pointed to the ceiling. "The one from the big picture." There was a massive portrait in the dining room, an elegant woman in Victorian clothes, eyes gray and sorrowful. The brass plate beneath it read Genevieve Blackwood, 1892-1931. I'd assumed she was the original owner. Later, I learned that was true, but she was also much more than that. A few days later, I met Mrs. Hawkins, the town librarian. She was kind, older, with that knowing look people have when they've seen too much. When I told her I'd bought Ravenwood, her smile faded. "That place has a heavy history," she said quietly. "They say it's cursed." I laughed it off, but she pressed a hand on mine. "Child curses don't care if you believe in them." She told me about the Blackwoods, a powerful family who built the hotel over an older mansion after a fire destroyed their home. People whispered that Genevieve lost her daughter, Georgina, in that fire. Some claimed she'd made a pact to bring her child back. The hotel was never meant for guests. It was built as a monument, or a prison. I thanked her politely, pretending not to be shaken. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the hallway sounded like footsteps. I went down to the lobby and sat under the portrait. The woman's painted eyes seemed alive in the candlelight. There was pain in them, but also accusation. Suddenly a chill passed through me and the air shifted. The candle flickered and I heard a faint humming, soft, childlike. It came from behind the wall. I pressed my ear against it. The sound stopped. My heart hammered as I saw a small crack between 2 panels. I tugged and the wooden piece came loose. Behind it was a tiny compartment with a dusty silver locket inside. When I opened it, I nearly dropped it. The miniature portraits inside showed the same woman from the painting and a little girl, who looked exactly like my daughter. My hands shook. How could this be possible? I ran upstairs and checked on Emma. She was asleep, but she was holding something shiny in her palm. I gently pried her fingers open. It was the same locket. The one I'd found downstairs was gone. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. Over the next few days, the hotel grew darker. I started hearing whispers calling my name. Once I walked into the kitchen and found "leave" written in the dust on the counter. I'd wipe it, and the next morning it would appear again. Emma began sleepwalking, muttering in an old-fashioned accent. "Mother says the fire's coming," she whispered one night, eyes half open. "We have to hide." My heart shattered hearing that. I carried her back to bed, whispering that everything was fine, though I didn't believe it myself. I spent the next morning at the library, digging through records. The story was worse than I imagined. Genevieve's daughter didn't die in the fire, she disappeared. Some believed she was trapped inside the walls of the new hotel, buried when the foundations were laid. Others said Genevieve performed a ritual to bind her daughter's spirit to the property. The line that made my skin crawl said, "The blood of the mother must return to free the child." I felt sick, because when I looked at a genealogy chart I saw something impossible. My grandmother's maiden name was Blackwood. Somehow I was part of that bloodline. I wasn't a stranger to the curse, I was the continuation of it. That night I decided to confront whatever was inside. I sat in the lobby, turned off all the lights, and said aloud, "If you're here, talk to me. Tell me what you want." At first nothing. Then the temperature dropped so fast my breath came out white. The chandelier above me began to sway. I heard footsteps behind me, slow, deliberate. "You came back," a woman's voice whispered. I turned, trembling, but saw only shadows. "Who are you?" I asked. The whisper came again. "You know me." My knees went weak. Then a figure stepped out of the dark, a faint outline of a woman in a long dress, face pale, eyes hollow. She reached toward me, but before she could touch me, a small voice called from the stairs, "Mommy?" It was Emma. The ghost vanished instantly. The next day I packed our bags. I told myself we'd leave, sell the place, never look back. But when I tried to start the car, the engine wouldn't turn. The air smelled of smoke, though nothing was burning. Then Emma screamed from inside. I ran back in. The whole hallway was hazy with black mist. At the far end stood that same woman holding Emma's hand. My daughter's face was blank, like she was sleepwalking again. "Let her go," I shouted, but the ghost only looked at me with sadness. "You left us to burn," she said. "You broke the bloodline." I yelled that I didn't know what she meant, but deep down something clicked. My grandmother used to have nightmares about a fire. She'd always forbid candles in the house. She'd even once called me Georgina by accident. I never understood until now. I followed them into room 23, the one the locals said was off limits. The door slammed shut behind me. The air shimmered and suddenly everything changed. The room looked new. Fresh paint, lace curtains, a crackling fire in the hearth. The ghost woman was solid now, holding a child. She looked right at me and whispered, "Save her." The fire roared higher, smoke filling the room. I grabbed Emma and covered her with my coat, but instead of suffocating, the flames turned cold blue and circled around us. I saw flashes, Genevieve holding her daughter as the house burned, crying for forgiveness. I saw my grandmother as a child running from the fire, surviving while her twin perished, and I realized the truth. I wasn't just a descendant. I was the living echo of the one who survived. The spirits weren't trying to kill us. They wanted release. Through tears, I whispered, "I forgive you." I said it again and again, holding Emma tight. The blue fire dimmed, the smoke cleared, and I saw Genevieve smile faintly before fading into light. The room fell silent. The heavy air lifted. Emma opened her eyes, confused but calm. "Mommy, did we do it?" she asked. I nodded, though my heart was breaking with everything we'd just witnessed. In the weeks after, the hotel transformed. The creaks stopped. The shadows no longer lingered. Sunlight streamed through the dusty windows like the place was finally breathing again. I found old letters hidden in the attic. Genevieve's confessions, her guilt about the fire, her hope that one day her descendants would find peace. I framed one and hung it in the lobby beside the restored portrait. The townfolk started visiting again. Some even helped me reopen the inn. We renamed it the Blackwood Rest. People came for the story, stayed for the calm. Emma started painting again. She'd draw angels and women in long dresses. When I asked her why, she said, "They look after us now." Sometimes at night I still feel a gentle breeze, a whisper of perfume in the hallway. But it's peaceful, not menacing. I think Genevieve finally found her daughter. I think they both found me too. The woman who ended the curse they began. You know, people ask me why I didn't just run when things got scary. Maybe it's because I felt the house wasn't just haunted, it was calling me home. Maybe every broken place just needs someone brave enough to listen to its pain. Or maybe deep down I wanted to prove that even curses can be healed when you face them, instead of fleeing. Either way, that $1 hotel gave me more than I bargained for. It gave me a family I never knew, and peace I never thought I'd find. If you were in my place, would you have stayed to face the ghosts of your bloodline, or would you have taken your child and run? Tell me in the comments, I really want to know. And if you were on my side through all this madness, like this video, subscribe for more true-to-life haunted stories and don't forget to share your thoughts below. I'll see you all in the next story. Hopefully somewhere far less haunted than this one.